Hey, wait, is this thing on? Oh, it is. Hey guys, this is, Editor Agent here, and I just wanted to inform you that we have a new goal, and the new goal is 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Yeah, I know, it's a big goal from where we're at right now, but I believe in you. And, you, the viewer, yeah, you, if you look down slightly, yeah, keep looking, more. You see that? Yeah, that's the subscribe button. If you press it, you'll get notified about my videos and content. And every time I post, you will know about it. So yeah. And if you press the like button, you will show even more people about this spectacular content that you so love and enjoy. And also, just a random fact on the screen. There's just, new content that's going to come out when we reach 1,000 subscribers. I'm totally not spoiling anything, of course. But yeah, you know, editor editor agent, I guess, is probably writing some stuff on the screen. If he is, make sure you don't pay attention to it. Yeah, don't worry about it. I am not a sellout, by the way, so yeah, don't worry about what it says on the screen. Just completely ignore that. But yeah, I've wasted your time enough. Unless you didn't do it. If you didn't do it, I'll wait. No, but like seriously, do it. Okay, so you probably did it by now. Back to your regularly scheduled program. What's up, guys? It's Agent What If, and I'm back again with another video. This is What If Deku Found the Dragon Balls. Not gonna be a very long intro because I don't see any way to, you can very much explain this besides what has been explained as. But yeah, without much further ado, besides a couple more comments, thank you guys for 772. We are making great progress to the end goal of 1,000 before the 5 months are up. Yeah, so yeah. But thank you so much for the support. Hope you continue to do so. Remember to tell your friends and tell their friends and their grandmas. I don't know how that connects, but you'll figure it out. I trust you. So yeah, let's start the video. We start off with Izuku being born. Izuku in this universe, I guess, is similar to the canon Deku. Canon Deku's origin story is pretty much the same, except when Izuku was around 4 years old, he developed no quirk as normal, but his mother, however, shortly after having him, developed a very bad sickness that was eventually going to kill her. As it progressed to when Izuku was older, he had a very comfortable childhood without Hisashi. Even though Inko was sick, she would push herself to unknown levels, going to work 24 hours to support her and her child. Izuku had a pretty good childhood due to her efforts, but her sickness constantly progressed faster and faster due to her overexhaustion at work. Whenever she'd get home, she'd drop to the floor unconscious, not being able to pick herself up because she was just so stressed and her body was under so much duress. Izuku had to grow up fast, growing up in an environment where his mother would always be out and pushing herself to the limit. He had to be there when she couldn't push herself any further. So, 4-year-old Izuku had to constantly try to help his mother in any way possible, giving her baths when she couldn't do herself, and getting her into bed, and even making almost unedible food, trying to help her. Izuku did everything he could, but as he got older and around the age of 10, her sickness developed to a stage where it was going to kill her, and she about had a couple weeks to live. Izuku was always sad around this time. He never showed it to Inko because he didn't want her last thoughts of him to be basically, of sadness. But she was very content with her life and was happy that Izuku was healthy and strong. She told him that he was going to be on his own for a long while, but to not let being on his own affect him socially, that he should go out and make friends. He should hopefully have a girlfriend one day and live out life to the fullest and not be sad over her death. He put on a smile, not saying a word to his mother because he didn't have the words to respond. He was so sad that she was going to die that he really didn't want to say anything because it wouldn't lift her mood, and he couldn't lie to her, so he just decided to smile at her, saying nothing. She would begin to hold him and cry, saying, "I'm so sorry that I put you in a situation like this. I must be the worst mother possible, but please forgive me from one last selfish action. I promise, Izuku, I'll always be with you. Izuku started to wonder why she was talking like this. It sounded like, but before he could finish, his mother stopped moving. He began to shake her a little bit, but no movement. He pulled himself out of the hug and saw that Inko wasn't breathing. He put his ear to her chest and no heart beating, no air blowing, nothing. Izuku began to run to the phone, calling the hospital. The hospital arrived around 5 minutes later, which is pretty quick for the hospital. Anyway, Inko was taken to the ICU to get examined, but pretty much by the time they got her in the car, they knew she was dead. But Izuku in the ambulance insisted that they went to the doctor because if there was any chance of saving her, he wanted to. As the doctors confirmed his worst fears, she was actually dead. Yeah. Izuku was absolutely torn apart, and since his father was nowhere to be seen, there was nothing good from this. The only good thing was that Inko had life insurance since she was young because, this is the hero world after all, where villains can get thrown through buildings and people can shatter entire buildings with a mere thought. So yeah, she has life insurance. And this gave Izuku around $500,000. Now, I don't know what that translates to in Japanese currency, but I'm assuming it's a lot since American currency is superior to Japanese currency. And his house was paid off because that was the only good thing Hisashi did before he sort of kind of ran off and never came back. Izuku was in his house alone, by himself, with nothing else to do. He was sad over his mother's death, which it had been about a week now. Izuku had an inheritance of, $500 million, but he didn't really know anything to do with it. His only instructions were just to live out life to the fullest. They were vague instructions. He went to school like a normal boy should. He took baths. He ate good well. He did everything he should do, but it was like he was living his life on autopilot. But then we transfer over to the Dragon Ball universe, where the Pilaf gang had just assembled all 7 Dragon Balls. Pilaf and his gang had summoned Shenron. Shenron asked them what their wishes were, and the Pilaf gang began jumping over each other trying to answer for the wish. One of them, the dog, basically asked for a whole bunch of money, but he wasn't specific, so a whole bunch of ones, and about 1,000 of them, was made, which is only like 1,000 yen. So he wasn't specific enough and he didn't get a good wish. Mai, I think her name's Mai, right? She wished for a good weapon, which she got in the form of a shotgun that could shoot explosions, which she was happy about. Pilaf wished for the ability to take over the world, of course, but he got his wish and he was happy, but soon found out that the ability to take over the world is long past by this time in Dragon Ball. Even in Dragon Ball Z, even in Dragon Ball, they could destroy moons, so the ability to take over the planet isn't much when Goku can shatter the entire universes with punches. Not even punches, just shockwaves. So yeah, he was disappointed to find out that he couldn't do anything. Unfortunately for him, the Dragon Balls began to scatter, and Pilaf wanted desperately for another year to pass in the blink of an eye so that the Dragon Balls could come back and he could wish for unimaginable power and being able to surpass everyone. But this time, the Dragon Balls didn't scatter around the planet. They scattered and then just disappeared. Izuku was in the corner of his house, just any corner, crying to himself, wishing that he could make all of this go away, wishing that his life wasn't the way it was, and wishing that on top of all of this, he had someone. And before he could realize, something in his head said, "Is that your wish?" And Izuku immediately got up and turned around to see no one. And he immediately thought, oh, it's the ramblings of a person whose mind has broken. Makes sense. And then Shenron said, "I am not a figment of your imagination. I am Shenron, the wish-granting dragon." Izuku then continued to dismiss Shenron as a hallucination until Shenron actually got angry with him and yelled at him, saying that I am Shenron. Izuku then said, "Okay, Shenron, what do you want?" Shenron then said, "I've never had a mortal talk to me that way. I am a wish-granting dragon, as I just stated. Were you not listening, child?" Izuku then says, he sure did say that. And he says, "Okay, well, what wishes can you grant me?" And Shenron says, Were you literally not wishing? Have you literally not heard of wishes in media at all? I can grant you anything. God, why is this my job? And Izuku then said, can you? And before he could even finish, he said, no. Your mother does not wish to come back to the mortal plane, so I can't bring her back here forcefully. You must find something else to wish for. Izuku immediately got sad. Izuku then started getting depressed, but just kept on talking to Shenron, not actually wishing for anything. The hours turned into days, because this was the weekend. It was actually a Friday after he had got home from school, so he had a couple days. He was just talking to Shenron, and Shenron began to grow fond of the young mortal, seeing that he wasn't wishing for anything like at all. He just really wanted someone to talk to. Shenron, but was getting really agitated at how long it was taking him to be desummoned, so he immediately asked Izuku for 3 wishes. Izuku asked if he could have a quirk since he didn't have one, and he thought that since his mother said lived his life out to the fullest and she was vague, maybe the fullest would be with a quirk. Shenron knew that this wasn't the answer, but just decided that the sad boy needed something to cling on to. So he just said, sure, I have granted you your wish. Izuku then said, oh, can you tell me? And before he could finish, Shenron said, I am a wish-granting dragon. If you wish to know something, wish to have knowledge that will allow you to know things. Izuku then said, you think you're clever, huh, dragon? I wish for whenever I have a question or something I need to know, you will come into my head and tell me the information. Shenron began getting shocked, but said, your wish is granted. Your last and final. And Izuku then said, I can't decide, but I wish you could stick around a little bit more. Shenron began to get a little more sentimental than he usually does and says, I know I'm going to regret this. And he then forms a tiny little Shenron, a baby little Shenron, and it basically has a Dragon Ball around its neck. He explains to Izuku that this Dragon Ball has the ability to grant wishes, but the more powerful wishes you grant, the weaker it gets. But whenever the Dragon Ball around the dragon's neck glows, the wishes are ready. And they can go from anything, for most things, common things, to some more extraordinary things. But they cannot do anything like bring people back to life, control others, and just do mass extinctions and stuff like that, or create life or anything. They're much simpler wishes. He explains that this will be his parting gift. And Izuku then says, but I haven't used my last wish. Shenron says, think of it as a way for me to thank you for giving me an experience I've never had before in all my years. Izuku said, thank you so much. I'm sad that you have to go. And Shenron then says, it's okay, young mortal. I mean, Izuku. You'll be okay without me, I can tell. Your last wish, Izuku. And Izuku then said, my last wish is to have potential. Since I'm not very good at most things, I want to have overall general potential. In anything that I attempt, I'll have great potential at it. Shenron said, with that, your final wish is granted, and I will now take my leave. Goodbye, young Izuku. I hope you have better days of your life, and know that if you ever need to contact me, my actual presence will appear in your mind to give you answers to your questions. Goodbye now, until we meet again. And Shenron disappeared from Izuku's consciousness. Izuku had felt stronger, and he noticed that he had all of the wishes that he asked for were granted. He decided that he was going to take this as a sign and live his life to the fullest. But first, that meant catching up on his homework. But with that, I'm going to end this episode. If you guys enjoyed it and want to see a second part to this, make sure to like, subscribe, comment. And let's please get us to 1,000 by the end of this year. Please, 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 please share this with everybody you know. This is a banger. I know you guys will love it. So please, 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 please like as well to get this in the algorithm, because yeah. So please. But without any further ado, that's the end of this episode. Peace. Sorry guys for the small pause, but he had to finish his homework. Izuku went downstairs, going down the stairs pretty quickly, and he knew that he hadn't actually eaten all in a couple of days because he was just overtaken with the talk. And he noticed that he was hungry, really hungry. So he went downstairs and he rummaged through his kitchen and his fridge. He saw that he only had a couple of things and mismatch of ingredients. When Izuku was about to ask, he thought, no, Shenron just went back to his world. I doubt he wants to be bothered. He wants to be bothered about me knowing how to cook something. He said, I said I have general potential. So I probably can just make something randomly and it'll probably taste good. He eventually decided that the best idea was to essentially go on the internet and look up a recipe. He looked up a recipe for some basic food and he ate it, and it tasted absolutely amazing, like a 5-star chef had made it. He said, there you go, that's that potential for you. After he'd finished eating, he solved his problem so much quicker because his general potential in math just allowed him to understand math problems very well, even though he wasn't very good at it before. Izuku had noticed that his body was stronger and he wasn't as sickly anymore and was getting taller. He was actually in perfect physical shape after about a week of just having this strength boost on him. And everyone noticed how he suddenly got taller and in better shape, even in class. Izuku had gotten better grades as well, much smarter, and his quirk had finally activated, which was basically the ability to control one element, which was psychic elements. So he could essentially control people's minds, but was strong and, had other abilities. So he was a telepath, but also a telekinetic. Those were his abilities, but was naturally strong physically as well. Izuku was doing astonishing in his work. So good, in fact, that he had got the top grades in his class, beating Bakugo by a landslide. He was so good, in fact, that his teacher recommended that he go to a charter school that was for the really exceptional because he was such a good talent, in that they knew that they couldn't develop him to his best standards here, so he had to go somewhere else. Izuku was sent to a charter school, and the charter school was for the really exceptional. Izuku continued on his path, of course, going through his studies, but he found out that he found someone who was going to be one of his best friends, Todoroki. Todoroki happened to go to the exact same school as him and was just as smart, if not smarter, but Izuku kept up with him easily, being able to defeat him even in actual career combat sometimes. Then we actually time skip to when Izuku was around 14, a couple of days before his birthday. He decided that since he was going to be going to UA, he should do some more training. So about, a couple months before his birthday, or a couple weeks, did I say? So a couple months, he started training with his quirk a whole lot more and doing lots more physical training. When Izuku finally decided that he was ready, he finished, his training and took his birthday, being alone but not being mad about it, saying, "Hi, Mom. I'm 15 now. I hope you can see where I'm at and how good I'm doing. I hope you're not worrying where you're at. So, yeah. Happy birthday to me, I guess." And he blows out the candle.